Thank you, Vice Nicola. Minister, in Ireland our circular economy rate is at 1.6%, and in Europe it is at 11.3%, which certainly shows a shortfall. Today I want to talk about Shannon Airport. Does it not make sense that the National Aviation Strategy be changed to address the undercapacity use of Shannon Airport and the overuse of Dublin? Where is the regional development strategy in all of this? Shannon Airport, gateway to the Midwest region. Shannon has the largest industrial base outside of Dublin. The region has transitioned to a low-carbon economy driven by industry. It has been voted best for customer experience and digital. It has the latest technology in its scanning system. Its infrastructure is suitable. It cuts down on flight emissions landing in Shannon rather than Dublin. It saves many people travelling by car, bus and train to Dublin, where services are overutilised and car parking is at an all-time premium cost. It supports a circular economy. How can any government justify 87% of traffic through Dublin and 13% of all other traffic going through the other regional airports? You come in here on day by day saying, I want to lower emissions. Well, yes, we have thousands and thousands of cars parked outside in Dublin, travelling up the country to get cheap flights from Dublin because you've allowed it expand from 31 million and now they want to go to 40 million. You've starved every other airport around this country from business by letting the monopoly go in Dublin, so they're priced out of the market. So if I have to fly tomorrow morning to get the cheapest flight, it's from Dublin. But if I work in the cost of travelling to Dublin, the car parking charges, which are 3 times dearer than any other airport in Ireland, and I work out the emissions, it costs them more to fly from Dublin, and you're a minister to support all of this country. You roar and shout every day about emissions, emissions, emissions. But yet, you support Dublin Airport for 87% of the traffic. And also, the emissions from airlines flying out of Dublin. You're here for the whole country. Dispersion of traffic was said to you in the convention centre over a year ago. Shannon Airport can cater up to 4.5 million passengers. So Cork can go to 5 million, but yet the monopoly of all the businesses, you've shoved them into Dublin and asked people to transport all over the country where there's no infrastructure and they have no other choice but to drive to Dublin to get cheaper flight, but it's costing us more. But you take the most out of it in tax.
Daniel, I agree with you. I think one of the issues, I was going to bring it up when I was answering Deputy Pearse Hardy and Catherine Murphy earlier, but I didn't get time to it. In terms of things what we need to look to out of this, what's happened in Dublin Airport in the last few weeks, last Sunday particularly, I think we should. One of the things we are looking at is, well, we look to see could we bring people up from Shannon Airport. To be honest, to help in this immediate crisis, that wasn't possible immediately. But I think we need to look the other way. Could we bring people down? I don't disagree with you. We have an imbalanced country. It's not just all the flights are coming in out of Dublin, all the roll-on, roll-off trucks are coming in out of Dublin. Half of the housing is in the Greater Dublin region. We need better balanced regional development. There's no two ways about it. We need particularly Cork, Galway, Waterford, Limerick as polar cities, opposite attractions, to grow. And I agree with you about that Shannon Airport having a real potential role in that. That was why, right through this crisis, didn't just meet Dublin Airport, went down to Shannon Airport. Very impressed with the management team there, I'll be honest. In my experience, I thought they were really top-notch. And it wasn't their fault that the airport numbers hadn't, particularly when COVID, it was no one's fault, it was COVID, but it hadn't grown the same way that Cork had, or Dublin, particularly Dublin. And I think that's part of the aviation policy we need now to look at is, can we do some rebalancing so we take some of the pressure off Dublin Airport and give Shannon a lift? One of the things we did in the middle of the COVID crisis is paid for a whole new scanning system in Shannon. You go through Shannon, you don't have to take anything out of your bag, you know, the little plastic bag for your liquids and everything like that, your laptops and everything. None of that. Straight the way through, because it's the state-of-the-art. I met the head of security in Shannon Airport. Very impressive. He was telling me about how it's working. Works like a dream. So yes, you can get in and out in no time. And we have to provide better connectivity. Bus services immediately. I'd love to build rail, and we're looking at that. One of the first things I said about Shannon Airport. So I don't disagree with you. I think better balanced regional development is one of the things we need to do, not just in aviation, but that's as good an example as any.
Thank you, Minister. And it's great that we agree on something for the first time, I'd say, since I've come up here. But tomorrow morning you could redivert the flights from Dublin to Shannon, and 3 million people will get out of this country with no delays. There's 2 million more people can be in Cork, can be redeployed. You're talking about bringing it up to Dublin. I'm talking about take out of Dublin. I have people from Dublin ringing me on a constant basis now, telling me that this government has destroyed their future in their children, their grandchildren. Why? Because you allowed Dublin to be overpopulated, and they no longer can afford for their children to live in Dublin. So they want you to deploy everything back into the regional areas, so all our families can live. And if they want to live in Limerick, if they want to live in Dublin, they're allowed to do that. But Dublin has been overpopulated for years, and all the business have been shoved into Dublin. It's time now to disperse around the country, and then the proper transport infrastructure would work on a business case, because the populations would be dispersed, and we could have a proper rail system, proper bus system and transport system. The failure of the government is everything for years has been shoved into Dublin, and it needs to be dispersed around this country. Thank you.
Minister, to conclude.
Dublin will still grow, but the others need to grow faster. That's what the National Planning Framework says. It's not that it's going to do down Dublin, but if everything's in Dublin, that's not good for Dublin, because we won't be able to cope. So it's in Dublin's interests that Limerick thrives. And Shannon is very much connected to Limerick, has to be seen as part of the Limerick metropolitan area, and Limerick has to thrive. In the centre of Limerick, particularly, has to thrive. Deputy Murphy asked earlier on about what to talk about at the meetings. One of the things we were discussing in the recent week is, could we do exactly as you suggest? Well, could we not just divert flights down? And to be honest, that has huge complexities and difficulties that would not work. You'd have a lot of people coming into the country that may be going to Dublin, that flight that they've already booked, already arranged. If we just switch the flight, you're causing huge disruption and difficulties in that regard. So in looking at this, particularly over the last week, because of the difficulties we had last Sunday, there wasn't that easy solution. Some other airports have done it, UK and Frankfurt, as I recall. It tends to be done on a voluntary basis from the airlines, where they see that they can do it in a way that doesn't disrupt passengers. But you can't do it unilaterally. It's difficult enough having to queue, but if you're then told you're arriving somewhere that you didn't expect to go to, I think that would have present real difficulties. So that's not an immediate solution, but the longer-term solution is to look for better balanced regional development. I agree.